Yo, what is cool, y'all? In today's tutorial, I'll be breaking down this crazy ghost trail effect inside of After Effects. It's actually pretty easy to make, and I'll be breaking it down step by step and how you can create it without any paid plugins. For you guys who have some paid plugins, I'll also show you what effects you can use to spice it up. But real quick before we get into it, I just want to let you guys know that I'm American Visuals and I run this creative store where we got all of the presets, assets, and all of the sauce that you need to elevate your music video visuals. So with that being said, make sure to check the first link in the description. But enough of that promo yap, and let's get right into the tutorial. So we're in After Effects and I got this Central C 21 Savage music video, and all I'll do is just start off by rotoscoping out my subject. So I'll double click on my layer and then I'll grab the rotobrush tool and just start masking out my subject right here. So now that I rotoscoped out my subject, I'll press this freeze button right here to make sure that my rotoscope is frozen, and then we can keep working with it. So I got my subject masked out right now, and what I'll do next is add on a refined soft matte effect onto this subject. And I'll be messing a little bit with the refined soft matte effect, so we can turn down the additional edge radius to around 4 and the feather to like 6. So now you can see that my mask looks a lot smoother around the edges. If I hide it and unhide it, you can tell it's a huge difference. So it just looks a lot better. But now I can duplicate this layer 2 times. So I got 2 layers in place, and the bottom layer I'll remove all of the effects, and the bottom layer will be our background layer. So I'll name it background. The middle layer will be the ghost layer, and then the top layer will be our subject. Now this is the way that I'll be going with it, but you can actually put the ghost effect on top of your subject and you'll have it a lot more visible. But if you put it underneath your subject, obviously you'll have your subject in front. Then I'll be pre-composing my ghost layer and move all attributes into the new composition. So we can add this next effect on, which is a pixel motion blur. And this effect is really heavy on your PC, so just make sure to be aware of that before you drag all of the settings up. But I'll keep the shutter samples around like 20, and we can keep the shutter angle somewhere between 360 and 500. But like I said, just be aware that your PC will basically blow up when we add all of the other effects on. So if I hide my subject layer, you can see that underneath we got this motion blur going on, which will look really smooth when we add the ghost trail. Next up, I'll add on a time warp RGB effect from Sapphire. And now if I hide my subject layer, you can tell that we got this RGB split underneath. And this is basically pretty similar to a chromatic aberration effect. So if you don't have Sapphire, just make sure to add on a chromatic aberration, the built-in one in After Effects, and this will give you a pretty similar look. But next up, I'll add on the echo effect, which will give us that ghost trail, and I'll drag up the number of echoes to somewhere around 10. You could go even higher if you feel like it, but I wouldn't recommend that you go too high because it won't be able to render and you'll probably crash. And now you can tell that it's really bright because of the number of echoes, because it just stacks the same clip on top of each other a lot of times. So what I'll do is drag down the decay to like some low number, just like this, and then I'll change the blending mode to composite in back, and now you can tell that it's not as bright anymore, and we can mess with the decay once again, just like this. So it looks a lot better right now. Now we just need to add on some final touches like a glow, some colors, etc. And as you can tell, we can't see our background right now, so just make sure to press toggle and switches and change the blending mode to like add or lighten. Then I'll unhide my subject layer so I can have it in front, and we'll add on some effects to spice it up a little bit. So if you want a brighter look, you can go for the add blending mode, or if you want a more subtle, you can go for the lighten, but I'll go for the add. And as you can see, I'm having huge problems like just viewing this effect in the preview window, but that's also because I got the quality on full, so we can change it third. Now if you want to change this color, you could go for a gradient. There are a lot of different gradients you can use, like the Sapphire one. All you need to do is just add it on and then change the combine to overlay, and just make sure to change the color to like red. Now you got it changed color in here. And if you want like something different, you can go for a 4 color gradient, and this is built in After Effects, so you don't need any paid plugins. For this one, just change the blending mode to color. Now you can see we got a bunch of colors in here, but I'll go for like the background, like the red and the dark blue from the UK flag. So I'll go for something like this. And this looks a little bit too pink for me, so I'll move these gradient points closer to the subject, something like this. I mean, just feel free to mess with these colors however you want, but I chose some bright colors because now I'll add on a create light wrap effect onto my subject layer. And this is a free plugin which you can download on Production Crate, and you simply just add this onto your subject layer and then pre-compose your background and obviously this ghost trail as well. And when we pre-compose them and move all attributes into new composition, we just got to change our background layer to the pre-comp. And I can see that the light from the ghost trail kind of like glows onto my subject. So we just got to tweak the settings a little bit, like something like this usually works for me. So now you can tell like around the edges right here, we have this glow that comes like from the back, so it looks a lot better. But obviously you get what I mean. So now I'll add just one finishing touch onto the background, which will be a new adjustment layer, and I'll put it in between my subject and the background, of course. And I'll add on the chromatic aberration from universe, and I'll keep this really subtle. So I'll drag down the distortion and the master scale as well as the radial blur to like 2 or 1.5. And then we can also add on a lens texture because they got a lot of these in here. Like this bokeh one looks crazy, just like that. Just a tiny detail, and you can drag down the texture amount. But that's pretty much it. You could also go for a deep glow if you feel like it. Just create a new adjustment layer, add on a deep glow onto the top, and keep the exposure really low, like 0.6, 0.5, something like this. And then we can drag up the radius. Just gives a lot more detail and a lot more dreamy look. If you feel like this looks good for your clip, make sure to add it on. But that's pretty much it. And as the final touch, I'll pre-compose all of my layers, and then I'll create a new adjustment layer. And to this adjustment layer, I'll add on a subtle shake from my ultimate shake pack, and I'll use the subtle shake 2. Just simply drag it on, and just like that, I'm pretty much done. I've enhanced the effect and it looks a lot better right now. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and check out the Stay Creative store to level up your visuals. But that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys in the next one.